dies.
Welcome to another Unofficial Maritime Wrestling podcast interview. Today we have a true legend here in Maritime Wrestling, the former good old Papa Slash, Remi Petit. How's it going, buddy?
I'm well, guys. How are you guys doing?
Doing very, fantastic. Very good.
Very good. Very good.
Jason?
So, we'll start off a little bit on your career. How did you get into wrestling?
Do you want the short version or the long version?
Whichever one you're comfortable with.
Well, I mean, most of us have been fans, right, for a very long time. Present company not excluded. I've been watching wrestling since I can remember, and it was always something that I never thought that I could do. Because people who usually look like me, bigger man, typically you wouldn't say a wrestler. Even like my family members, when I told them one day, oh yeah, one day I'll wrestle. Like cousins, they would not laugh, but they'd be like, sure. Like, yeah, you see like people like like Lex Luger, they're all like big muscly men, and I'm like, well, there is Yokozuna. Hello, come on. But no, like I met with and you guys probably know who he is, Marco Estrada. Yeah. We basically grew up in the same area, and he got trained by the Cardinal Sinners, so Peter Smith and Cowboy Mike Hughes and all them. And then like a few years after he got trained, he just approached me and he's like, would you be interested in getting trained? And I said, yeah, why not? So he trained me in 2004, and it was about a 6-month training program before I had my first match. And that's just how it started, really. My friend Marco came up to me. You want to do it? Sure. And the rest is somewhat history. It was a long time ago. It was 21 years ago.
Cool. So on Wrestling Cage, it says that you started IHW in 2007. So what did you do from 2004 to 2007?
See, when I tell people that I started in 2004, it's not wrong. It's when I started. The matches were sporadic. There weren't a lot of wrestling companies back then going on. There was maybe was it Real Action Wrestling? And I think that had died. Died is a very strong word. It had stopped pretty much by the time I had started. So the options were limited. It was either Grand Prix or that was pretty much it, really. And even Grand Prix wasn't really running that much. So Marco and I decided, let's do shows ourselves, like where I'm from, up north in the Acadian Peninsula. And like, cool. He had trained other people. So there was 5 of us. So usually you can run a show with like 6, 7 people usually, if you do like 5 matches and then somebody will double duty. And we just ran shows, and our first show, which my first match, there was like 500 people there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, maybe more. It was an arena in Lamec, and there was a lot of people there. Like a lot of our friends, obviously friends and family came, but a lot of other people do that just like wrestling because it hadn't been around for so long. So we mainly did that. We did a lot of those shows like in that area. So that was mainly where I focused my attention, but it was maybe one show every 3 months, right? So you couldn't really get that experience. And then IHW came around in 2005, and we had booked like Titus and Julian and all of them. So I kind of became friends with them. Went to their first show and, just build rapport and contacts. And then eventually in 2007, they asked me to do a dark match or a pre-show match at that point. And I started doing graphic design work for them. I've been doing their posters since 2007. So if ever you see a poster, that's me. I'm the one who's making them. So that's like I said, I really started in 07, but like between 04 and 07, I was kind of like not working as much as I used to. And I got hurt in 05. So that took a couple months out as well. Like I hyperextended my knee. So I was out for a couple months. But yeah, so that's what happened.
Cool. So between 2007 2013, it says here that you've wrestled for 13 different promotions. Is there one promotion other than IHW that you really enjoyed working with?
I honestly thought you were going to ask me to name all of them. I'm like, whoa.
No, I'm not that cruel.
Outside of IHW, I did go to the shows we did in Maine and Bangor, Maine. Those were pretty fun. Who else would I have worked for during that time? 07 to 13. So
Port Neuf Wrestling, East Coast, UCW.
Yeah, East Coast was fun too. That's where I got to meet some of like the people from like ex-WWE wrestlers and all that. Met some of those there. Red Rock, always a fun time. Crowds are huge. Very good place to go learn the fundamentals. You really get to learn your character and how to work a crowd there. Those were always fun. Yeah, I'd say probably my times in Maine and Red Rock were probably some of my favorites.
Cool. So retired December 1st, 2023.
Yep.
I was at that match against JP Sims.
Oh, yeah.
How did that feel? What was that like?
It's funny because I had made up my mind at the beginning of that year that it was my last one. And I still get people asking me, you're done. I'm like, no, I'm done. Like my body's hurting. My knees and my back they're pretty much, they're not kaput, but they're getting there. So, and I'm going to be 40 years old in less than a month. So I'm getting up there in age. I know it's not that old for a wrestler, but never say never. We'll go there. So the whole year, everybody kept asking me, how are you feeling? How are you, has it sunk in yet? I'm like, nope. They're like, are you good? I'm like, I'm good. And it kept like that the whole, and they like the guys at IHW, they told me like, you're going to go out, you do it your way. So everything that happened during that year was all run by me to like the story that I wanted. That night, I put up my makeup. I was ready to go. I was getting ready perfectly fine the whole way through. The bell rings for the match before us. The match was over. My stomach sank.
Oh.
I'm like, oh, this is it. I'm going to walk out, do my entrance for the last time. I didn't get emotional before. I got emotional after, but I wasn't emotional before. My stomach stank. But as soon as I hit those curtains, it went away, which is usually what happens. And if anybody tells you they don't get those butterflies before they go out, that's probably means you should be done. That's you. And I think Ric Flair has said that in the past as well. Like if you no longer have the butterflies, it's time for you to be done. So I was happy to know because I thought I was done. So I was happy to know that I still had some love in there before I hit the curtains. Cool. So yeah, so that was the emotional journey of the retirement.
That's awesome to hear. Just, yeah, I kind of wanted to touch on that. And, I just want to say, like, congratulations on an amazing career. And just to kind of let you know and make you feel good about it as well. Like, I had been hearing about you so much. Like, I hadn't been into Maritime Wrestling at all until, like, very, very recently. Like, at North Pro was actually one of my first shows. Well, it was my first show for Maritime Wrestling. Yeah, and before that, myself and Corey with an E on the podcast here. We used to work with BT Bobby Man.
Oh, BT.
And exactly. So I used to always hear about you guys and like Ryan Storm, and there was, at the time it wasn't Marcus Burke. It was rather
Mr. Suave.
Mr. Suave.
Mr.
I think
Josh
it was around there. So exactly.
Yeah.
So, and it's just to say that like, those characters, I guess, or you guys as performers kind of planted the seed and got me interested into it. So just to kind of touch on that. So I do want to thank you guys for that, right? Got me interested for sure. Yeah. And, and another thing that was mentioned earlier as well, I know that you mentioned that there was about 500 people, right? At like your first match, and you mentioned Lamec. And I know that in the area, like it's a very, very, like they don't get very many events. Like now that there's RSPW, that's really, really good for them because they enjoy it so much. But I remember like on an annual basis, there's people going out and like they fill these rooms up.
Yep.
Like they love it. So I think that's amazing that you got your first experience up north and probably such a good crowd.
Some other people will tell you their first match was maybe in front of 10 people. For my very first match to be in front of like over 500. Woo, that was get thrown into the wolves pretty quickly.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Which was funny. My first match was against a guy who promotes our Real Savage Snake.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
He was my first opponent. So, he's still going. So
good for you. Looks so young, eh?
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know what's going on there, but thank you so much, eh?
Corey, you had a follow-up?
I've got a follow-up. So my Maritime wrestling background goes to like, the 90s Grand Prix, but I was there those early IHW shows. And what was that? What was the promotion in Northern New Brunswick that you were working at that time called?
As Association de Lutte Acadienne.
ASA. I remember that. ALA. You guys had some YouTube stuff. I got to see some of that. Saw some of your stuff. And then I remember being at an early IHW show and you being in the crowd. You being in like that third row. And somebody told me you were a worker. So my question is, you got this long career. What's your best road trip story? I want to hear your best road trip story that you're willing to share. Let's put it that way.
I can tell you about the time Honky Tonk Man pissed on my car.
Give her.
That was early on too. That was like in like 07. So
yeah.
It was up north for ALA and guys from Maine. So Sonny Roselli, Larry Hunter, and Mark Moment. We call him Moondog. They were they said, hey, we can get you, because Honky was working IHW, I think the night after. So Marco was like, hey, let's do a show the night before so that, people can get 2 nights, more shows, and Honky, you can split the PO with travel expenses and all that. So we're like, sure, let's bring him up north. So we did that show, and it was my responsibility to drive him, I guess, around. And so after the show, we go eat, and then Honky wanted to go to his hotel, get changed and all that. Okay, bring him there. He stays in the hotel, but Sonny and all of them want to go out. So like, okay, well, I'm usually the designated driver. I don't really drink that much. I do have an occasional beverage, but if somebody needs a DD, I'll do it. Just because I don't drink a lot. So we went out to the club, we're having fun and all that. And then, Sonny and the Americans, I had a little Pontiac Sunfire. It was my first car. It was a shitty car. Yeah. Great first car, but it was a shitty car. So we're all squeezed, like Sonny is big, like we're all big guys in this car. I'm like, okay. So they're drunk, whatever. I dropped them off at the hotel, and then all I hear is Honky's like, God damn, where you guys been all night? I'm like, well, we went party. He's drunk, by the way. Yeah. He's been drinking since I dropped him off. And comes out, and we're like, we went out. We had a good time. We had some beverages. He's like, oh, you had some beverages, huh? He's like, I got to piss like a racehorse. He just whips it out and starts peeing on my car. and Sonny's laughing, and he's like, "I'm going to join in on this." Pisses on my car, and I'm in the car going like this, like shaking my head, and he's just laughing and giving me the finger, like. And I actually, it's funny. I have. Oh shit! I have the next day. You know, my dad's a lobster fisherman.
Okay.
And I told them, I asked them, I'm like, do you like, you know, lobster seafood and all that? He's like, oh, I love quahogs. And I'm like, what the hell's a quahog? He's like, it's clams. Yeah. It's a North, like a New Hampshire term for New England, for clams. I'm like, oh yeah, I can get you some of that. So I brought him like this big. I'm like, even though you pissed on my car, Hoggy, I'm going to be a nice Canadian Frenchman. Here's some lobster and some quahogs, and I don't know if you guys know Hoggy, but he always charges for his pictures, for his Polaroids. Well, for me, he's like, I'll give you one for free, and I'm like, Honky. Thank you very much. So there you go.
That's a pretty good story right there. I met Honky in an IHW show as well, and he's quite a character.
Oh yeah.
I've got a question. When you sold that Sunfire, did you put that in the ad? Like, this car has been pissed on by the honky tonk man? Because that's a selling feature.
I've left it out.
That's unfortunate. GG had to be seen right there.
Just have a quick career question before we move on to present day IHW. The evolution of your character. You were GPS, then a lot of people call it your Mardi Gras phase, and then you're the Beast of Acadie. Talk to me about that, because it was quite a transition from fan favorite to nightmare fuel.
Yep. There was a reason for that, obviously. It all started when I was working for Vision Pro Wrestling. That was Dick Durning's company at the time. I was the champion there, and he told me, I want you to do this. I had started doing the I used to call it the Acadian Dream. So with the beads and the fedora and all that, I started doing that in XWA. That's when the name changed. That's when the first name changed from Gros Papa Slash to Remi Petit happened. They wanted to bring me in, and I said, okay, I can do this character. And it kept going. Here in Moncton, obviously, it was more of a baby face because it's more of a bilingual area. Anywhere that's not bilingual, heel. Pure heel. And it works like a treat. Believe me. So the main area for Vision was Fredericton. And I would just go out there. I would do my French gimmick. I would speak French. They would hate it. Wonderful. Then when Vision stopped running shows, IHW started running shows in Fredericton. I'm a babyface in IHW with the same gimmick. And I told the promoter at the time, I said, do you want me babyface or do you want me heel here? Because, I've been putting the work in to make these people despise me for 2 years. And you all of a sudden you want me to be like, hey guys, love me. I'm a good guy now. And he's like, yup. I'm like, oh, okay. It didn't work. Obviously. I got them eventually, but it didn't work. So that's when I started thinking, I'm like, okay, what can I do to be both babyface and heel as the same character while we're doing all these areas? And I remember I was driving with Marcus Burke. We were going to a show in Mestival. Those were fun shows, by the way. Talk about no holds barred, anything goes, adult shows. They were great. And I'm like, what do you think if, I come up with this, like almost this split personality, Venom-ish character where depending on my mood, I'm either babyface or heel. And he's like, that's not bad. Yeah. And then that's how ideas start, right? They start like this and then you flesh them out. And that's what happened with that. I'm like, okay, like I need some sort of trigger warning to say, okay, what could be babyface and heel? At first I wanted to put like one of those, like those arm sleeves that was one color. And then when you reverse it, it would be the Acadian colors to show like, okay, when it's this, I'm this person. When it's the other one, I'm this person. Because we were doing TV as well, so they were putting the shows on Bell. So that's why I had to find a reason to explain why am I being booed in one place, why am I being cheered in the other, type of thing. So it started with that, and then I just kept, watching characters. So like Joker was a big influence. Penguin obviously was a big influence. The look was very penguinish. I was also wanting to do a Jekyll and Hyde thing, hence the top hat and the big, popped up collar coat. I'm like, okay, so just putting pieces here is like a big puzzle. And then the face paint was like, nobody's doing face paint around here. So I'm like, let's do face paint. So I started doing that, and then the colored contacts. I wanted to do half. The whole base of the character was half, because I'm half English and I'm half French. Like my mom's from Nova Scotia, my dad's from northern New Brunswick, right? Like I grew up speaking both. My parents couldn't communicate with each other when they first met. They couldn't speak each other's languages, So everything was half. That's why I only have the one eye contact. It was always half. And it just that's just how it progressively evolved. I was always looking for stuff. When I look at my earlier concepts, as you can see, my hat is right there. That's right. It's always there. But yeah, it's just how it began. And then if I finally got the final product was what you last saw. That was the final product of it. Yeah, so very comic bookish. Venom mainly. Like I would talk to myself. Like always have this little presence in the back of my mind telling me to do evil things, but the other side didn't want to do evil things. So that was the base of it mainly.
It was very cool.
Yeah,
great concept. Love it.
So now you're the new IHW general manager.
Yep.
How did that come about?
It started with me being, after I was done wrestling, I told the promoter, Kirk Obey, he was running around the shows with his head cut off, like a chicken with his head cut off. And I said, look, when I'm done, I can take over production. So I can I'll play the music, I'll, video screen, I'll do all that. So you don't have to worry about that. He's like, great, perfect. So I did that for the whole last year. So I was there, but I was behind the scenes, but I made sure nobody really saw me because I didn't want, I didn't want the focus. Yeah. I wanted that separation. And then we were just going through everything and I'm like, we need an authority figure. Like we need somebody to just, even if it's just to come out, make the matches, somebody to guide along the stories for the people, can understand. Because really it was just Shano sometimes saying, yeah, the match is on. I spoke to management and the match is on. And I'm like, yeah, that can only go so far. You need to put a face to the management.
Right.
And I can't remember who said it, but they're like, do you want to do it? I'm like, is anybody opposed? They're like, nope. Okay, cool. When do we do it? They're like, we'll start the 20th year, start fresh, do it then. So that's why the introduction kind of started with the Enforcer at the main event of the November show of last year between JP Sims and Chris. That's kind of how it started there. The seeds were planted. I don't think anybody thought it was going to be me.
Nope. Not a chance.
No.
That's what I wanted. But yeah, this is how it started. It was basically me just saying, we need an authority figure. Somebody said, you want to do it? I said, yes. And here we are.
Cool. So on the first show, we saw you present Chris Charters with a new belt.
Yes.
Black belt. Very, very nice. Had your guys' logo engraved in it this time. Very beautiful.
Yep.
Is there new belts coming for the IHW TV title as well?
Oh, yes, there is.
Excellent.
Yes, there is. I can't say much, but yes, there is. I did tell Hollywood Cole, the current IHW television champion, I told him, I have something in store for you next show, and cool. I intend to keep that promise. So May 2nd, I will present Hollywood Cole with his new championship.
Excellent. And also, new tag titles coming along as well, I assume?
It's in the works. We've been talking about tag title division for a long time. I started in IHW as a tag team.
Yeah.
Me and Sidewinder or Nick Teeth. So we've been wanting that, but tag teams it's a very difficult thing to get over, especially in the Maritimes, because there's not a lot of them when you think about it, really. Some teams are starting, you got the Strong Brothers, you have the Samson Brothers, you got AWOL, you got Forever Young, Perfect Storm, whatever the F you want to call them. They can't even make up. Yeah, Hollywood Heathens. There's Last Call, Rick Owens and Fantana. There's Scott Lee Crew and Matt Chevron in CCW. Yeah. Tag teams are starting, so that's always a good thing. You even got Sabotage, who are a tag team.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So, the teams are starting. Will we have tag titles? I really want them. We'll have to wait and see how this year goes, because unfortunately, one of the Samson brothers did get hurt. He slipped a disc in his back, Taylor. So, or Tommy Lee.
Yeah.
So he's out of action for who knows how long.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do want to create more tag teams, and the ultimate goal is to get tag titles.
Excellent.
Yep.
I just want to touch on the IHW heavyweight title. It's probably one of the most prestigious title in all of maritime wrestling. And it's also, if anybody follows IHW, this title could have a movie made about itself, with all the history of it from the original belt to the current belt. That this belt, like the first time that it's personalized with the logo engraved in it and all that, must feel really well on the 20th anniversary to finally have like something so beautiful like that.
Yeah, it was a big not ask, but a big want for all of us is to get new belts. 20th year. The first show of the year was called Genesis. There was a reason for that. Okay. We're basically not starting from scratch, but we're building back up.
Yeah.
And one of the main things we all says that we need new belts. We need our logo on it, because you need your logo on your belt. Yeah. You can get all these nice custom belts all you want. If you don't have your logo on it, kind of doesn't solidify it.
It's not real.
Yeah. So having that is great. When we saw the heavyweight title, like, beautiful. When I saw the new TV title, I fell in love even more. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. There is also another belt, but I'll keep that hush hush for now.
Excellent.
I'm intrigued.
Oh, yeah. Very much so.
We'll find that out by Sunfest in June.
Interesting.
At the end of June.
Okay.
Little exclusive.
All right. So actually, so what I want to know are like, up to now, what are your thoughts on the first show of, being the season opener and all of that? Now, as the general manager, right? So, how do you feel that your experience as a performer is going to help you in your role, not just this season, but moving forward, right?
Yeah. So the first show we thought was very successful, standing room only. That typically, now to be fair, we all know that usually the first show of the year that typically happens because it's been so long. We take the winter off. Just because New Brunswick, our winter's unpredictable. Yeah. So there's always that long stretch, and then the first show, it's always like, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit of a dip in May. Hopefully not. Hopefully we did a good enough job to bring those people back in. Yeah. But very satisfied. Even afterwards, when we're talking, the new general manager role really did help what we wanted, which is to guide stories and characters. That opening segment that we did, I don't know if you guys saw the show or not. The opening segment that we did, we've never really done something like that before, where it felt very TV segment. You have your boss that comes out, introduced a new champion, and then the lineup of people interrupting.
Exactly.
A lot of interruptions. You had JP and Boyce, you had Chip, you had Covey, you had Hollywood. That was a lot of people. We've never done that before. So it built up the characters for people who maybe have not seen the show, because there was a lot of new faces there. And when you have a lot of new faces, you have to spoon feed them. Hello, my name is blah. If you don't know me, I'm blah. That Titus showed up at the last show to do a tribute to his cousin Serge, aka Malcolm Mann. A lot of people didn't know who he was in the crowd, because he stopped wrestling a long time ago when those people weren't coming to the shows.
That really hurts my heart.
Yeah, some people didn't know. Don't get me wrong, there were some people there that absolutely did know who he was, but there were some that didn't know, especially the little kids, because they were probably only born when he stopped wrestling. You know what I mean? So the general manager role, I think, so far is doing its job to guide the stories and help build the characters. As you can have fancy matches all you want, but if you don't connect with that crowd, with your character, there's no room for growth there. So that's what we're trying. That's what we're trying to do with this role. And so far, first show, knock on wood, it seemed to have worked.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I wanted to kind of mention, so that show was my first IHW show.
Really?
It was. And again, kind of mentioning what I mentioned before, knowing basically all you guys, I was one of the guys that knew about Titus. Just, from seeing him from videos I've seen online and whatever. It was cool. Like, even just seeing him once, just like, oh, cool. Like, that's Titus. Like, he's been there for so long. Like,
he's a maritime legend.
Absolutely. And, I really did appreciate as well how your role really, really fit into that whole dynamic that was going on at that show. And that's kind of to follow up on that question. So that's really, really cool. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, like what you said, like with the new people, since COVID, Maritime Wrestling has blown up. So there is a lot of new faces in the crowd, a lot of new people watching wrestling. So it was cool to see that segment at the start, to, like you said, for people to get to know all the major players. And so it was really cool. Yeah, I think you guys are gonna take it to the next level for sure.
And you say that, a lot of people, there's still a lot of people who don't know there's local wrestling in Moncton. And I'm not just talking about IHW, I'm just talking about North Pro. Like, a lot of people don't know that there's wrestling, and it's not for lack of trying on our part or North Pro's part. We're all out there trying to, get our names out there, and it's just surprising how a lot of people don't know. Yeah,
it's crazy. So, you were mentioning there's some shows coming up. What do you guys have on the pipeline so far?
So next show is April 12th, which is not this Saturday, but next Saturday in Miramichi. So it's going to be an over-the-top rumble. That's going to open the show, and the winner of that's going to face the champion later that night. So Chris Charters will be defending his title. That's April 12th. And after that, the next review show is May 2nd, as I mentioned earlier. Tag Team Mayhem. We're trying to get the tag teams over, so that's what we're trying to do. So I think we have scheduled 2, maybe 3 tag matches on that show. We got the women's tag match, the main event tag match, and Perfect Storm's also going to be in action as well. And then after that, May 16th in Amherst. Hope I'm getting all these days right. Yes, Amherst. I made the posters. I should know. May 16th is in Amherst. And then I think May 31st back in Miramichi. So pretty busy. You
guys have shows in April as well, right?
No, the only April show we have is in Miramichi.
Isn't there
a Lucha Libre show?
Lucha Libre.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. Lucha, I forgot about that. But yes, the Lucha Libre, the Tequila Expo at the end of the month, April 25th and 26th. They're late shows, so they're going to be adult oriented. There's going to be some boozed up people there.
Oh yeah.
Where's the show in Amherst? Where'd it be at?
It's at the Amherst Stadium.
Cool, man. Cool.
Yeah. We were there last year. We were there last year for a matinee show, an afternoon show in on a Sunday, and it went over really well. So they asked us back again this year.
Very nice.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I did notice on the IHW site on Facebook that you guys are looking to rent a space for ring storage and potential training. You want to talk a little bit about that in case anybody's listening that can help you guys out?
Yeah, so we're just looking for a space to set up the ring, store it mainly, but also to potentially set it up for training. The ring is 16 by 16, and I think it has to be at least 16 foot high, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe that's what I read. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I can't remember the post. So if anybody has any information, contact the IHW page, because, you want to get more people trained, preferably women. We need more women in maritime wrestling.
100%.
We need more. Some are starting, but we need more. But so we need some training, and the people who are trained, that are still new, they still need a place to, run their reps and practice and all that. So if anybody has any information, please let us know.
Is there a possibility for a IHW back-to-back yard or anything like that?
Back-to-back yard? I don't think so.
No.
The closest we get to that is like festival shows. Like when a festival wants to book you, usually the show is outside. That's kind of the closest thing.
No places to rent the ring. Just put it in back.
Excellent. So my final question is, what can fans expect out of IHW for the rest of 2025?
We're working on, it's 20 years. So we're working on some things. Hopefully they pan out. Like I said, tag teams is still up in the air. That would be a big thing. The new TV title coming. Trust me, it's a nice belt, but I have something in store for it as well that I don't think has been done in maritime wrestling.
Oh.
Somebody will probably, actually, but I don't think so. And I'm excited for it.
Cool.
It's different. As far, the big September is going to be the 20th anniversary. We're working on some big things there. We may try to get, somebody to come in. I can't confirm or deny that because
it's early.
Up in the air. It's early. You can book somebody and then 2 months later, like, oh, sorry, can't.
Yeah.
So it's still up in the air, but it's going to be a good year. It's going to be a big year. That's for sure.
Excellent. Mark, Corey, you guys got anything else?
No, I'm good. Remi, when we end the recording, can you just stick around for a few minutes?
Yep.
So it renders. So on April 12th, Over the Top Rumble in Miramichi, I think a few of us are going to be there. Also in April, the Lucha Libre Tequila Festival, I think it's called.
Tequila
25th and 20th Expo.
Yeah.
25th and 26th, IHW Tag Team Mayhem, Friday, May 2nd, and was May 16th in Amherst as well.
Yep. Correct.
So if you're in the area, buy your tickets. IHW, it's the legendary promotion, and I want to thank very much the legendary Remi Petit for joining us on this interview.
Thank you very much for having me, guys. It was fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and remember to catch us here every Wednesday for a new episode. Please visit us on Facebook, Instagram, and more. Links are in the description. See you next time.
Don't miss out and don't be late. Hear wrestling talk that